watermelon one is really good.
Where's that? I thought it was over here.
No.
Signal overload.
Space, the final frontier.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Hello and good evening. Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 20, Heart of Glory is over, and it has been since March 21st of 1988. But for this October 1st, 2024, we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast for our live stream review as we continue our mission to watch every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, talk about it, and rate it. I got a great panel here to break down this episode. We're a trio tonight. We got Ashley Millard coming in here first. Hello, Ashley.
Hello.
Why do you wish to anger me?
Why?
I just like to see if I can, Dave.
Yeah, just to see if it will still work, if I still have feelings. And coming in next, the man with the sensory overload. It's Adam Woodward.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Actually, after Sunday night, this episode had a complete different meaning to me. I was only watching Tasha's lack of participation.
And it was epic in this one.
Epic.
It's so good. She just proved she's the worst security chief in this episode.
No, or the writers were the worst writers.
Or the writers were the worst writers, yeah.
In this episode, the crew rescue 3 Klingons from a damaged freighter in the neutral zone. Once aboard, they befriend Lieutenant Worf and attempt to hijack the Enterprise so they can live as true Klingons, forcing Worf to choose between them or Starfleet. This episode features Vaughn Armstrong, Admiral Forrest from Star Trek Enterprise as the title Klingon chorus in this episode. A lot to talk about here and break it all down. Spoilers if you haven't watched Heart of Glory. It's only been out for almost 40 years. But, you know, we're just getting started here. Come on. We got people in the live chat comments like Sam and hopefully some others will be popping in. But let's talk about this episode. Heart of Glory, the first Klingon focused episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, kind of the first Worf episode as well. A lot to unpack here. Let's start with Ashley. Do you like this episode?
I do like this episode. This is one of my favorite episodes of the first season. It's been a long time since I've watched a lot of the first season episodes. But yeah, I always love the Klingons. Always have, ever since like original series Klingons and beyond. I've always loved the Klingons. They've always been my favorite.
Yeah, I'm a big Klingon fan as well. Adam, how is this for you? Is this a good watch or a bad watch?
It was a good. Okay, so just what I was referring to a minute ago was the other night we were talking about Denise Crosby and how she wanted to be written out of the show because basically she had, lack of participation. And Ashley made a great point: is that the writers didn't know how to write for the female roles back then, and it was coming out of really, even though it was a decade later, the original series, which they weren't really greatly written in either, but. So for me, I took a different point of view. And actually, thank you for that, because I watched it a different kind of view. And you can obviously see how she wasn't included. However, I do like the evolution of Klingons, Dave, like from where we were in the original series to this, to where we got.
Right. Of what comes later on. This being the first, kind of formal introduction to the Klingons. I know Worf's been with us for 19 episodes up until this point, but he hasn't.
We don't know
had a lot to do.
But this was kind of cool because you saw like original series, they spoke like humans, they were like just guys, and this was sort of the next step. They just dressed them up a little bit. They still talk like they were very civil. Even the guy in the other ship, the lieutenant in the other ship, was very civil. And you should come work for me at the end of your Starfleet.
Yeah, if you're ever looking for a job opportunity, make sure to head in your resume in Indeed or something like that and come over. Von Armstrong, the most polite and well-spoken rebellious Klingon I've ever seen. I can't separate him very easily now from Admiral Forrest, who is such a happy-go-lucky, whatever, John, you can have whatever you need,
Except phase cannons.
Yeah, except for phase cannons. But if you want to look at a comet for the rest of your life, we're completely good with that. I thought I had maybe some, or do I put him under Admiral? Yeah, don't know. I thought I had some Forest clips. I've got to, right?
He's played a lot of roles. Like he's done quite a few alien roles in Voyager and.
Yeah. Well, he's been
as well.
He played a Borg on Voyager. That was one of like Seven's. Like he was like 5 of 9 or something like that.
Yeah.
When he was on there, always a good actor. Yeah. Oh, here we go, Forrest.
You might have solved the greatest missing person case of the century.
There's that Forrest for you. Trying to figure what's happened here. Like we get a mention of the Romulans in this episode too, although they don't appear. The neutral zone is in this episode, kind of, for the first time. This Klingon howl death ritual business, becomes pretty iconic in this moment in this episode. And I think that, like, for me, what like the theme of the episode really kind of hits home for me because I feel like the metaphor about being a Klingon, about being this warrior, is kind of analogous to manhood, but not exactly. Like, not all men are aggressive or, have a lot of testosterone or whatever, but some do. And, we have to control our emotions and our feelings and, our impulses and things like that. And for some of us, that's more of a battle. And I feel like that's kind of what Worf gets at in this episode is that, being a warrior is also the battle within and having self-control and, being able to, recognize certain things, understand you have a desire maybe to punch that guy in the face, but you won't, because it's not right. So anyway, any thoughts on that, or am I off base, you think?
No, I think that's true. I found it interesting to see the sort of outlier Klingons, that as the Klingons come in and they start to make peace with the Federation and stuff, and then there's some that are just like, no, this is, we don't want to be, they just want to be those warrior Klingons that Worf always claims that the Klingons are, and we've always on this channel said that they're not. Obviously in Deep Space Nine and stuff, you see that that's not all that they are, and that he kind of has this view of the Klingons that this, because he grew up not with the Klingons, that he has this view of what the Klingons are, and that's not what they are. But that's kind of what these ones were. They want to stay that way. They want to make Kronos great again.
Did you catch the reference when they called it cling?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, they use like cling in like sort of a verb or something.
They did. No, they were talking about Kronos. They should have said Kronos, but they said cling.
Oh, really?
So they were. Oh, so they.
Well, I mean, it's like going back to the trouble with tribbles, and they say that their language is Klingonese.
Klingonese, or Klingonese, yeah. Some things, like just like Vulcanian was a term used, in original series that kind of isn't used too much. But
so can I answer your question as well? I think like one thing that Star Trek didn't do very well is, Deep Space Nine did it a bit, but is expose us to the other parts of the culture.
Mm.
right? It's all about the glory and the empire and the battles and Stovacor and all this stuff. But there's got to be like a farmer class. There's got to be,
There is.
you know, there's got to be just
Well,
yes,
there's obviously musicians and actors.
yes. So you have this whole side that we were never really saw. I mean, we know
Yeah.
that there's Klingon opera.
Yeah.
We know, yeah. Well, there's Klingon
always-
opera. and so-
I always felt that way about the Ferengi too.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
like Quark is always on about the Ferengi being this like 100% capitalist. You can only, you all have to own businesses and all this, but obviously there's explorers and there's, all of these different sides of the
Assassins.
Ferengi that you never really see. Some of those, I was thinking that while I was watching this episode about the Klingons, and then I thought they kind of did that with the Ferengi too, where they kind of pigeonhole them and you don't really get to see the bigger picture.
But at the same time, it's like who were we exposed to in the show because of who Starfleet is, who the Federation is. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind, but I would have liked to have seen it. Something.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. When you're out in space, you're either going to meet some version of astronauts or some version of military, right?
Mhm.
Right, and and so you're meeting the Klingon warriors and the Romulan equivalents and whatever, and yeah, you don't get a chance to meet like the guy who just runs the sandwich shop on the promenade, but
We met him, but he wasn't a big part of it.
no, right.
But even oh my goodness, the episodes I can't remember when it was this Klingon Civil War going on, and Kimpek goes back and he sees that woman Klingon, and she says, "Oh, you're still fat." What's her story? Like who is she?
What is her story? Well, Dax does explain this to us in Deep Space Nine, that some of them are brave and some of them aren't, and just like humans, right? Like some of us are more noble than others.
Yeah,
and,
but when you think about last week's episode, we were watching, what it takes to get into Starfleet Academy. It's got to be the same thing. What it takes to be a warrior.
To be well, there's a warrior, but then there's like an officer, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Which is kind of like a different. But this guy, like the guy that Vaughn Armstrong plays, Chorus, he seems like a pretty established captain. He's got all this gold piping on his uniform, and he looks, but he's trying to like run off to start his own little empire or something. I don't know. And we can talk about him. Also, about in this episode, we get some of the kind of a one and done experiment here with like, let's use Geordi's visor as basically like a live feed camera, like a live stream, which is a bit.
Actually, after Tasha was said, "No, you stay on the bridge."
Yeah. She loves the hot Klingon chef on the Promenade restaurant. He could get it. Ashley, why do you think the visor interface didn't last on the show?
I mean, well, it could have been cost, but also when else? Like we get a few. It's funny because later on we get some views through his visor and they don't look like that. Like
in Generations, yeah.
In Generations, it's clear picture.
Right.
So
I think that they needed to do something, Dave. Like this, let's
I
answer the
enjoyed
Geordi
the scene.
question. Let's just
what does he see?
Yeah, what's he see?
Yeah.
And apparently what he sees is the Videotron scrambled porn channels from when we were kids. That, you could hear but not see. So, hey, good on you, Geordi. Interesting.
What's
But yeah,
that? I love how the Captain McCarr, what is that you're seeing?
what is that you're seeing? Is that a boob?
Well, that's Data. He has some sort of aura around him. Of course he does. He's an android.
Yeah. Don't you all see that? No. It's weird to me that Geordi thinks they all see that, but hey, there you go.
I was very
Well,
happy that they didn't do it again.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but I mean, I guess I enjoyed the scene, but I'm glad that later that they did it. Yeah, I'm glad that when they did it later, it was a little more.
They had paid for the pay-per-view, and they
Yes.
can watch the channel completely,
Yeah.
boobs and all. All right, let's go through.
With the ugly human females.
The human females are so repulsive. Let's pop through this. The Enterprise is kind of going along here, and then I guess they get a call that there's something in the neutral zone, or they've detected something in the neutral zone. Worf say, "We gotta go. We gotta check this out." And so they're like, "Well, I guess it's got to be something important. Let's go." So they tell Geordi, "Let's go to warp," and they warp away.
Okay, question for you guys. This has always bothered me about Star Trek. Why not warp 9? They said warp 7 or 6. Like, why? Like, I can't believe that Picard in his mind can calculate. Data could, but Picard couldn't say it was going to take me 20 minutes to get there and warp 7. That's
I think it's just what he's feeling. That was always my impression. Like, let's just go warp 7. You know, it's fast enough.
It'd be kind of cool to actually go back and see how many times. What number does he pick the most?
I'm sure someone's already figured that out.
I'm going to Google it.
All right, look into that. So we do get a mention here. I think they're scanning the area. They're not sure what's going on. They think there might be Romulans involved, and then Picard's like, "We haven't heard that name in a while." You know, let's find out here. Once they get a look at the ship that they find here in the neutral zone, it's not Romulan or Klingon. It's Talarian. You know, is the same guys who make the tea. And Riker recognizes it on sight. The ship has maybe life signs. They're not sure, so they need to go check it out. And there's some battle damage. So I think it's like, this is where they say they're afraid that there's a Romulan warbird like cloaked somewhere. So they basically tell Tasha, "You have to stay at tactical, Tasha. Don't go anywhere. You can't go on this away mission." And she's like, "Okay." And then Geordi's like, "I think," or I think it's Picard who prompts him, like, "Geordi, I think that new visor interface system is go now, eh? Let's test that out, eh?" You know, sure thing. I've been looking to do it, Captain.
Did they forget how to use the technology for cameras? Like,
apparently, like the other ship is not that far away.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like the distance down to a planet, for instance. And so, yeah, it's strange to me that this is. They could just wear like a Google headset, right? But this was the 80s. They didn't know yet. They couldn't imagine a camera strapped to your head.
Imagine that you could FaceTime over one of those pads.
Interestingly, they're fine with the FaceTime, right? But I guess
not in mini form, just big.
Not in mini
big
form.
Not in mini. You don't have like a personal one that you can take with you to show. You got to do it. You got to get the blind guy with the visor interface.
Mm-hmm. Well, there must have been something when they made this show, because there must have been a note that said you have to find something to do with Geordi's visor almost every episode. Then you have to find a use for it, right?
Yeah.
And you know, but yeah, it seems like even like the comm badge itself could have a camera built into it or something like
body
that.
Body cams.
Body cams, yeah. Like all police officers have them here 30 years later. So you know, but it was the 80s. They didn't know. They couldn't imagine it yet. But right before Riker gets in, sorry?
They need a Spock helmet with a camera in it.
That's true. And a big flashing light on top. So Riker, you know, he's like, "Be covered, number one. This smells like a trap." He's like, "Yeah, you're right. It does smell like a trap." All right, well, here we go. And off to the transporter room we go. So that's our teaser for the episode. We get the title, Heart of Glory. Still ominous. We don't know why. Like, there's no mention of Klingons in this teaser. Romulans, but no Klingons. So a little bit of a thing here. So Geordi's hooking on like the camera here in the transport room before they beam over. Worf says, "We're getting the data," and he's like, "Okay, I'm turning it off for transport. Here we go." It's, you know, this is an experimental thing that I guess didn't work out. So they beam over to the freighter, and the freighter's in bad shape. It's been beat up quite a bit. And but before we can worry about any of that, Picard needs to go on a Videotron quest here. So I guess he can still be in the action. Like, I like the idea of the bridge crew being able to see what the away team's doing. Maybe not like this. And Picard's like, "Wow, this is extraordinary." You know, like I can't believe what I'm seeing. I understand Geordi so much better than I used to. Okay. He sees things in sort of negative.
Photo negative.
The scene was a little long.
There's a lot of music involved, and
like the really only interesting part of me. So, there's a fissure on the hull.
Well, yeah, they're
that ops guy. If you go back, that ops guy on the right, he's really suspicious. He is not a fan of this technology.
He's like, "What the hell is this?"
I was watching his face the whole time and cracking up.
This guy is in Next Gen a lot, like over the years, but he never says a word.
He's like one of those permanent extras.
Yeah.
He's just going there. He probably there are people who have tracked these extras on Memory Alpha and talk about their biographies and what divisions they transfer to, and then they transfer to the Blue Division. You know,
it's amazing.
So yeah, this is where Picard's like, "What is that? What is that blob there?" He's like, "That's Commander Riker." Can you believe it?
I mean, it's very clearly a person. I don't know why he couldn't figure out that
Jordy, is this what you see all the time?
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, that's Commander Riker." He's like, "Well, it's just so much stuff you're seeing here, you know."
There's an aura around him.
Well, of course, he's an android.
But
of course,
you say that as if you think that's what we all see.
Don't you?
I wish I did. I wish I just saw an aura around Data all the time. That would be kind of different. I guess that's some kind of a field here. But yeah, it's he talks about being able to how he can look. It's like listening in a noisy room.
Well, how in a noisy room can you select one specific voice or sound?
Of course. Something you learn.
Exactly. Something I've learned.
Do you really think they need to have this big conversation about this?
I enjoyed the conversation. I thought it was interesting, and it's one of those things that, like, even growing up and having something like you figure everyone experiences things the way you experience, and then as you get older, you realize no, everyone doesn't have the same experience as you, whether it's the way you see things or the way you interpret things or whatever. But I didn't understand Picard, why he was so surprised at how much he sees, because we all see a lot of stuff. We all see more than our brain just filters out so much. Our brain filters out, we see our own noses, but our brain filters that out. Right. So Picard shouldn't be surprised. That's just biology. That's just how our brains work.
I see my nose all the time, Ashley.
Yeah, more if I have one eye.
Well, but if you concentrate on it, you'll be able. But I mean,
it's really big. That's why it's just really big.
I just mean, when you start to focus on something else, your brain filters out everything else that's around, right? Like all that peripheral noise, it filters out. It does that for all of us.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Riker was also. This conversation's going a little long. Can we move this along, Captain? We're trying to figure out what the hell's going on here in the neutral zone, a place we're not supposed to be. Either, or at least not for very long. He's like, "Oh yeah, number one. Let's get moving here." And so they're kind of moving through this beat up old ship for a bit here, trying to figure out what's going on. They eventually get to a part where there's some deuterium gas going on, and that it could get toxic. This is where they find where Geordi sees the thing in the ship that's basically that it's gonna blow up. Like the whole ship's gonna blow up in the next 5 minutes. And they only would have known about this if Geordi's visor picked it up. No other away team would have known, and they would have just died, I guess. And so good on them that they had Geordi, the only guy that I believe that has a visor.
It's a great look, Dave.
What's that?
Picard look was great.
Yeah, he's it looks like a metallurgical scan. Or something. Yeah, I got a bad one there. Right. So they know they have to go in the next 5 minutes, but it's a guesstimate. It could be 1 minute until the ship blows up. They have no idea. Anyway, so they eventually lose the visual contact here. Picard's worried. Geordi says, "I'm surprised it lasted this long. Let's go." Anyway,
This looks like, stay away from the lake, Caroline.
yeah, don't go into the light. That'll be all right. Anyway, so Data goes ahead because he can handle the more toxic fumes than Geordi or Riker. Riker is really not looking too well here around this radiation or whatever it is. And Picard's just kind of waiting for things to flip.
These are some excellent screenshots.
Yeah. Okay.
Like both of those need to become memes. How have neither of those shots been memed?
Well, you saw them here first, everybody.
It's not being flushed or something like that, right?
Yeah. This is when you got to sneeze or you got poop under your nose. I don't know. Something like that. Anyway, eventually Data comes back and he says, I found the door. Come on. Come through the toxic fumes. We'll be fine. They have this door that's cracked open. They can kind of see inside, but not really. So Data goes to open it. But, the first attempt, he's like, oh, this is pretty close. I'm going to actually have to lift from beneath here. And he's able to open it just enough that we finally get the reveal what's going on in this episode. Who are these shadow figures? Klingons.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. They even played like Klingon theme from like a motion picture here. And Riker goes Klingons, and Picard's like, what? Klingons? Why are there Klingons here? Worf's like, Klingons, you say?
Worf is shocked.
Shocked. Hey, sorry. Well, I just got a thought about, things they bring on the away team with them. What was the silliest things I always thought was the handheld flashlights.
Flashlights?
The square flashlights.
Yeah. At least have one that like straps to your head or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it takes one hand away.
I forgot to mention that Riker had looked to actually blow up everybody with his phaser earlier on. And then they're like, no, the gas will ignite and we'll all die.
Yeah, that's why he's the first officer, Dave.
Yeah, they're like good. Oh, he's like good safety tip. Good. Let's move out here. So the Klingons are here, and he's like, well, we got to get out of here before the ship blows up. There's one guy who's a Klingon who's really hurt, injured, and Riker's like, pick him up and let's go. And Cora says, no, I clear the guy. Whatever Riker says, let's just go. So they sent Tasha down to be the transport operator, even though she was supposedly had to be a tactical in case the Romulans show up.
And also, why is there no transport? There's no one in here. There's no transporter person. Like, shouldn't there always be one in the especially when there's an away team away? Shouldn't there be an actual transporter? And then they get into this whole situation of not being able to. She almost couldn't get them. Maybe if O'Brien was there wouldn't have been such like, why is the security chief doing this?
Right. Do I have an O'Brien on there?
She's got an awfully nice bum.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Her bum.
No, it's the bum.
She's got an awfully nice time.
Oh.
Give me warp in the factor.
No.
5, 6, 7.
Okay, never mind. I was looking for you got to do it harder, but yeah, I don't know. I think they were looking to give Denise Crosby something to do. I don't know in the episode.
I guess.
But yeah,
anything but her job apparently.
But it contradicts the earlier statement that she needed to be a tactical in case of an attack.
Yeah.
And
so anyway.
I'm so bought into this argument now.
And then the Romulan thing is gone entirely. We never hear about them again.
Yeah, they're not like they don't know who attacked the ship. They don't know why there are Klingons here. But anyway, the ship's about to blow up, so they beam them out. But
wait. I love that. It's like the classic pose when you're being beamed up. Look at those guys. They all stand so perfect.
They're posing for the shot here. And then they're not quite materializing initially, and they actually materialize back on the freighter, and then it starts to blow up, and they're like, "Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs."
I like to think that this is another Thomas Riker, that they all got duplicated, and their duplicates blew up on this ship,
or the originals blew up and the duplicates got through,
or maybe.
Yeah,
we'll never know.
Could be. Yeah, we got. So anyway, the ship blows up. Worf's like, whoa! Don't show me that on the screen. But they get here in the nick of time. I guess Tasha did it on the transporter. Good job, Tasha.
Also, I feel like I understand that she's the head of security and that on her planet, like they're a little stronger than humans from her planet or whatever. But if they're beaming aboard a bunch of Klingons, they have no idea where they came from. They're just on this random ship. Why would they only have her there? Why wouldn't Worf go down too? Like, send a Klingon who has the
Send a
same
whole security
strength
team.
as Klingons, and send a whole security team. Like, just her is wild.
Yeah,
They just haven't learned yet, Ashley.
No, I guess
that is what that. I guess that is the reason in the episode they give that they send her down there is because, well, you're also security chief, so somebody's got to be there when these Klingon prisoners show up. But she's got a whole staff.
she should just be standing there waiting while an actual transport officer beams them aboard, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's also the Starfleet way to let the bad guys run around the ship.
Yes, it is.
They let them.
Can't get into hijinks if they don't run.
Yeah,
around the
they're
ship.
by the battle bridge right now. Is that a problem? Probably not. You know, it's
okay. They're with Worf.
Yeah, Worf's showing them around. There's probably something fun on that deck. Anyway, so then they're going around here with the Klingon kid who's hurt. These two other Klingons are present. They see Worf and they're like, "What? A Klingon?" On this, who would ever have thought? You know, there's only billions of them. But you know, anyway, so they get this whole conversation with Picard and Captain Chorus, where he's like, "Why were you in the neutral zone? Why are you on this freighter?" And they make up this whole story about how they were going somewhere. They were basically being transported, and then they were attacked. They didn't even know who attacked them. Oh, it was the Ferengi, or something like that. And Worf's like, "The weapons were not Ferengi." He's like, "Who the hell are you?" But you're right, they weren't. You know, and they tell us this whole story about how they waited for the shields to come down, and they fired all these old style missiles at the ship. Now, I'm guessing that part of this story is true, that we find out later on in the episode that they destroyed a Klingon ship, and maybe they did it in a similar fashion where they waited for the shields to come down and then they launched some kind of Hilarion missiles at it. I don't know, but somehow they won the fight.
They tricked it into cloaking so that they could throw some missiles at it.
Could be. Anyway, as much as I like Vaughn Armstrong is this Klingon captain, this guy who's like his sidekick is hilarious to me.
Oh my god, the facial expressions on this guy.
He's the most expressive Klingon, and he's like I'm a big tough guy, but they both act kind of non-Klingon to me. Like they're very Romulan. Almost.
They remind me a little bit more of original series Klingons.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. But again, thinking where we are, right? We haven't seen these guys yet. This is the first time coming right out of original
in
series.
the show, yes, but like by this point, like Star Trek 3 has come out. Yeah,
right.
The movies,
but
like
in TV.
Yeah, they're a little more like the original series Klingons.
Right, but I guess at this point, like Christopher Lloyd had played the Klingon in part 3, and you know that established a lot of what the Klingons were now going to be. So you know we get some of that here. Anyway, Picard's like a little. Your story's a little fishy, and they're like, "Well, we're tired. Can we go rest?" He's like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, of course." And he says to Riker, "This story doesn't make sense." And he's like, "I think you're right, Captain. How about the patient, Doctor? Not good," she says, and you know she keeps working away on him. Meanwhile, Worf takes them back to the quarters. They get themselves some tea and riblets or something here. They replicate. You know, one of the things is
turkey legs or ham hocks.
It's like bones and something, but yeah, they say it's like a tea, but it's like comes in this bottle.
Oh my god, we used to have glasses just like that when I was a kid.
Yeah,
these they're classic 80s glasses.
Oh, well, I go back.
But coming out of like, I mean, they also don't like their food cooked, right? So this is.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if this is cooked. We don't actually get to see them eat it, but this is where they start making fun of Worf. They're like, "Hey, Worf, you know, you have fun here with the predator becomes the prey, and you're here with the humans, and you're a bunch of weaklings." He's like, "What? Why are you being mean to me? You know,
You mock me. Why do you wish to anger me?
only to see if it's still possible." They say, you know. He's like, "Oh." They're like, "Well," he's like, "It is. I can demonstrate my Klingon if you want." They're like, "Cool. We like you, Worf." Meanwhile, back in sickbay, young Klingon guy is not doing so well. He's flailing around. You know, Crusher's. I don't know what she's trying to do to him. But
so this thing was funny too, because like you got all these people who are not giving the guy any relief. Doctor, we need you, and he's like, they're all wearing blue outfits. You figure they know something, but no, they're
No,
orderlies.
they don't know. They're like, oh, Klingon, weird.
I
No
think
medical-
Worf should be a little concerned that the medical staff doesn't know what to do with Klingons.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not even sure exactly what this guy's dying from, but anyway, we get a little bit of a close up of the food here, or the
cutlery.
leftovers and the
I
cutlery.
like the cutlery. That's fun.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. The handle on that knife is a little different. And then what are like the other plate, which looks like it's got like Klingon dumplings
Yeah.
or some kind.
A red pepper and something else.
Yeah, you get a close up of that
Some
glass
sort
there.
of meat.
Worf's happy. He's like, this is like a Klingon birthday party. Amazing. Always wanted one of these. But then they get the call. Hey, your Klingon friend here, he's dying in sickbay. Oh, well, we better get a doggy bag and get out of here, or a targ bag, if you will. And
Targ bag.
targy bag. We're working on it anyway. So the young man is here. He's dying. They're like, there's nothing more they can do for him, and we get to see this ritual here where they grab his eyes and they look into his eyes, give him the stare down, and then they're all like, this is weird. What's going on? And then we get the growl. Here it is.
We can't hear it, Dave.
No,
Ah! That's good.
you didn't hear that?
No.
No.
Have you heard any of my sound effects?
So just that one didn't.
No. Hold on. You gotta hear the Klingon growl. Did it play at the top of the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It starts and then cuts out. It's the same thing that we were saying during radio theater, that the louder ones were.
The louder is it? Maybe it's too loud.
Maybe. I think
Hold
your
on.
microphone is.
No.
Still nothing.
Sort of. It just keeps cutting in and out.
All right. Well, I can't. I'll figure that out later.
So
Apparently, Klingon growls don't work. Everybody. I don't know what to tell you.
I have a question. Do you guys think that Worf knew how to do this, or he just sort of jumped in?
I think he knew.
I think he knew.
This is the first time he's ever witnessed a death, like a Klingon death.
Well, maybe the
Well,
ritual of it.
I think he would have remembered from when he was a kid, but he also studied Klingon stuff growing up to stay connected. Like they taught him the Klingon ways and stuff.
Yeah, I think he forgot or something because he was late to the party. He came in last.
Well, he saw that
Yeah.
it was almost like a harmony to it. They were rah, rah, rah. So,
Like when you go back to that picture of them all doing it, he looks a little awkward.
well, they are yelling at the ceiling.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as the kid dies here, we see that one of the guys, not Von Armstrong, but the other Klingon, he grabs something off this guy's boot, taking it with him, puts it in his glove.
Something secret there.
Is there anything special you want to do with the body?
It's only an empty shell now. Please treat it as such.
Can you hear that?
Yep.
All right, that works. I don't know. So they're kind of going around the ship. We see kids are frightened by these Klingons walking around. To protect here, and then
Why? They see Worf walking around all the time.
maybe it's the armor.
I think it's
Like,
the armor. And
It
the
must
boots.
be.
Yeah.
The boots are
So they stop Worf and they go, what's the I guess this didn't come up during their lunch, but it was like, why are you here? Why are you on this ship? And Worf says it was an act of kindness. He was basically rescued from he tells the story of being rescued from the Kittimer outpost as a kid after the Romulans attacked. He was saved by a Starfleet officer who brought him back to his planet and told his wife to raise him as his own, and all that's kind of broken down in this episode. And he talks about being on the planet of Galt. He goes, that's a farming colony. There's no warriors there. Well, I don't know how many warriors there are in the Federation in general, but on Galt. But they feel bad for Worf. They're like, Worf, this is not right. You've been robbed of your birthright. Klingons are meant to fight and do bad Klingon stuff. Come on, Worf. And do you not hear the call of the warrior? He's like, oh, I hear it. Oh, I don't you worry, I hear it, he says. And basically, they kind of eventually come clean that they ran away from the Empire, that they destroyed a Klingon ship sent to bring them in. He's like, you destroyed another Klingon ship? We had to. We didn't want to, but it was tough. We had to kill them, or was that sort of them? Back on the bridge, they're talking about the whole watching the Klingon thing, the Klingon ritual, and Picard says, I didn't even feel like I knew Worf at that moment. That was weird. Like a different guy. Data says they are the first Starfleet crew maybe ever to watch that. And they get to see it twice in this episode. Aren't we lucky? Anyway, they said that there's a ship coming, though, by the way, and they can't tell what it is yet. We'll come back to that. Meanwhile, Worf is showing the Klingons around engineering, not a sensitive area at all.
Those chairs are pretty low. They need to raise them up a bit.
Yeah, they're a little low. You see some various people working here as Worf shows off the ship. Finally, Data is saying, "Oh, the ship is coming in." Geordi says, "I can put it on the viewer," and then we get the magnification. What is this? Oh, it's the D7 battle cruiser, the Katinga, coming at us here. We got the music from motion picture, that Klingon score, and apparently this is a reuse shot from the motion picture. But
it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, looks good, and then we get this Klingon commander. I don't know if we get a name for him or not. Knievis? I don't know.
I think they refer to the lieutenant though.
Yeah, I don't know. He seems to be in command of the other ship, and he's like, "Hey, we're looking for some criminals." And basically, he explains that Picard explains that they found them and saved them, and he's like, "Okay, we're coming to get them. Those guys are bad." But aside from that whole thing, like this backdrop behind him with the Federation and Klingon emblems, I think was always an interesting choice to me.
Mm-hmm.
We never saw this again.
No. I guess this is just to reinforce this idea that the Klingons and the Starfleet are not adversarial at this point. The Treaty of Alliance has been established, but we will find out like more. There's stuff in Voyager with B'Elanna talking about when she was a kid. Stuff was not very. There weren't great relations between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. We know that yesterday's Enterprise establishes that if the Enterprise C hadn't saved the Klingons from the Romulans, then there would have been another war, right? Mm-hmm. So this alliance has not been in place for that long, like a little while, maybe a decade or maybe two at the most. And so, this is kind of a new thing. The Klingons like, yeah, we're best buds now. Federation Klingons. Sounds good, eh? Anyway, so that's all coming through.
For a short time.
For a short time until there'll be war again. And then they'll be friends again. And then there'll be more war. But, it kind of goes back and forth.
It's complicated.
It does. Anyway, so the Klingons are coming to get them. And they're like, hey, where are those Klingon guys? And Tasha's like, well, they're with Worf near the battle bridge. You don't think that Worf would let them go into the battle bridge? No, never. Worf would never do such a thing.
Yeah, Picard doesn't even let the kids in there.
Yeah, no kids in the battle bridge. But then they go, I don't know. Worf did that whole scream at the ceiling thing. I don't know if we can trust this. This is a little fishy.
Oh my goodness.
Racial profiling.
Yeah.
You scream one time in a Klingon death ritual, and you're pegged.
You're a little weird from there on. Anyway, so Tash is on her way to go get these guys. Meanwhile, Worf's explaining, like, if you take off the saucer section, the Enterprise, like the drive section of the Enterprise, very powerful in battle. They're like, that sounds amazing.
You only saw it once.
Just giving away all of the Enterprise's secrets.
But we've only done it one time, so it might not work again.
There's even a mention earlier on in the episode when they first get the call to go to the neutral zone, and Riker goes, "Should we separate the saucer?" And Picard says, "No, not yet." And this is basically, I guess, his default answer from ever on. They never do it really ever.
Too much work.
But anyway, the Popo are here, and
she finally gets a whole team.
She gets a whole team. She get a couple of them killed in this episode, but we'll come to that.
Are you on lunch? We have to come down.
Yeah, here comes the team. Hey, Worf, you gotta get out of the way. These guys are under arrest. He's like, well, I don't think there must be a misunderstanding here. These guys are pretty cool. You know, we screamed at the ceiling together. They did admit to me earlier that they, destroyed a Klingon vessel and, they're fugitives. But, I haven't reported that for any reason, other than I just think they're pretty cool, right? And they're like, Worf, don't let it. Worf, join us. And let's get out of here and steal the ship. Is Worf really tempted? I never get the impression that he's that tempted by any of this. Like,
no, I don't think so.
But he's just he's more just got like, he's enamored with these guys a little bit, but I
think it's curiosity more than anything, because
so the team's here to go at it. We get a little bit of a commercial break here, and then out of the turbo lift, in this like little bit of a tense standoff, comes this kid who goes, no. Tasha goes, no, little girl, and then Von Armstrong picks her up, and we got a hostage situation.
If this situation is going on, if there is a security issue happening on the Enterprise somewhere, you would think someone would like shut down the turbo lift doors to that section. Like, why would it should just skip it and go to the next section and be like, nope, sorry, you can't get off the turbo lift here. There's a whole security team and a couple of renegade Klingons.
Or put up like those little force fields in the hallways there.
Yeah, like something that blocks off the area so that the civilians on the ship can't accidentally stumble upon
a firefight in a hallway.
A firefight in a hall, exactly.
Tasha wanted to mention that there's a suggestion box near the security chief's office that you can leave all your ideas, and she'll take them under advisement. But
for 2 more episodes.
I mean, at least Odo wasn't here, because if he was here, that kid would have died.
Oh yeah, that's how it goes. Anyway, so
the best constable in the whole sector.
Yeah, Von
Just
Armstrong.
watches everyone get stabbed in front of him.
Gives the kid to Worf, and Tasha's like, that was a little worrisome. I was pretty tense. I thought he was going to have a hostage situation, and Worf's like, that's not the Klingon way. We don't do that kind of thing. Well, again, Worf. Klingons are diverse, and some of them are bad, and some of them are good, and you don't know. You didn't know what that. Why did he pick her up at all?
Why exactly?
That's
right.
He's a big.
Another question.
Yeah.
Warp's a kind of an apologist for all this, and he's trying to go anyway. Tasha's little team here. They put them in the force field. Now they don't bother to search them for anything, but we'll come back to that, as they're kind of just giving this look to each other like, okay,
why would they search them for anything, Dave? They're obviously just in their regular old uniforms.
Yeah, clearly, that just happened to be warriors armor that you could hide a whole bunch of things in there. But anyway, not important. Worf comes to the bridge after this whole arrest, and he goes, hey, they're gonna be taken in extradited basically to the Klingons, and Worf's like, but they're gonna kill them, they're gonna execute them, and that ain't right. Picard's like, well, I don't believe in that either, but there's nothing I can do. So Worf just seems to kind of go back to his station, and he's trying to just dealing with it here. Then Picard starts talking to the Klingon commander, says, okay, we got your prisoners, and Worf's like, I know this is a little unorthodox, but can I talk to him? And Picard's like, I guess, sure. So he's like, hey, I'm Worf. You don't know me, but it's not right for you to kill these guys, execute them, like send them off to some planet basically to fend for their lives. That would be much nicer, or put them in the pit.
That's not the Klingon way.
Yeah, and the guy, he says, you know what? I sympathize, man. I feel for these guys who just want to go back to being antagonistic against the Federation. Trust me, I get it, but we can't.
This whole dialogue would not have happened, it didn't happen a couple seasons later.
No, it's a little weird. Like for their, but it's almost like, what can you do, man? Times change, and this is how it goes. He's like, well, anyway. So they say goodbye. So I don't know. Worf's like, I give it a try. Meanwhile, down here in the security cell, they're putting together their makeshift disruptor that they brought on with different parts. Like, it's kind of a neat idea that they could sneak a weapon in with all these little parts. Although, less neat. That's Tasha doesn't search them for such devices. Whatever. It's not like inconceivable, but I don't know. I don't know what
Just belt
excuse.
buckles. Why would it be part of a weapon?
Exactly.
So what we're saying here is that she's not a great security officer.
Well, we'll come up in her next performance evaluation, but it's. I
don't think she makes it to her next performance evaluation.
No, good for her. So they might have sent her to Starbase 80.
No, but wait a second. So Worf is like already trusting these guys. She doesn't search them,
right?
And now he's the next security officer.
Yeah.
He learned from her mistakes, I hope. Although
this would never happen on the Enterprise, Adam.
Oh, it could.
It always happens on the Enterprise, actually.
It happens on every ship for any reason. If they come up, yeah. So anyway, they put together this little. It's
they've got a lot of stuff to make that gun.
Yeah, they're like, it's a good thing they got that kid's thing off of his boot. They're like, just in case we get arrested, we'll be able to make a gun. It will require all three of us, but it will be fine.
For one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for one. Anyway, and they have a little device that they can break force fields with, which is the next step here. So, I kudos to this security guy. He's like, he hears the field go down. He calls up the bridge to tell him this is happening, right? And then he goes for the move here with the Klingons, who are just waiting for him. They're just waiting for him to pop around this corner. And then they're like, boom, dead. So he's dead. Then they take a shot at the next guy. They miss initially. He fires back, and his phaser was on kill because he kills the other Klingon here in this move. By the way, Ashley, there's more of this weird phaser fire that we've been seeing in season 1 that with the ripple thing.
Yeah.
I do like it. I wish they would go back to that almost. Anyway, so
yeah, sometimes I miss the 80s special effects.
Yeah, it's all right. Anyway, I think I got a couple of this guy getting shot, but then Von Armstrong picks up a phaser and shoots back, and I guess both of these phasers were set to kill because this guy dies next. So two of Tasha's people die in this fight, but nobody cares about them. Anyway, so Von Armstrong runs off with the phaser. Tasha goes.
He takes the disruptor but leaves the phaser. Why wouldn't he take both? He puts the phaser down and leaves it beside the guy.
Not tactical. Not very smart.
No, take both.
Maybe he was running away from the Empire because he's not the best Klingon warrior. I don't know.
Maybe. He just hates the Federation so much he won't even use their tech. Even if it's far superior.
Right. I guess so. Well, that guy's dead. But they're not too sad about it. They're coming after it. They check on this guy. Anyway, so they call over to the Klingon captain, and they're like, those guys are running around. He's running around the ship with a phaser. He's like, do you need us to handle this for you, Picard? A trained Klingon warrior, nothing easy. He's like, yeah, we got it. Don't worry. I have the best security chief in the fleet. She's right on top of it. She'll have this under control in no time. He's like, okay, well, give me a call when you're ready. You got it under control. Von Armstrong returns to engineering. And looks at that warp core, and he's like, he hops up the little ladder, gets to the top, and he aims his phaser right at the warp core. Kind of, it's an interesting hostage situation because you can blow the entire ship up with this one move. Apparently, Tasha has no shot. We're told here from the bottom of the engineering platform. So
should they have a little elevator up,
Yeah, I don't know. She's like, I'm sorry, Captain. It's a stalemate. There's nothing that can be done.
Time to separate the saucer.
Maybe separate the saucer. You could just beam them out of engineering. I don't know. There's a few ideas I could come up with, but
there's no transporter person, so they can't be.
They had nobody.
Tasha's too busy in the stalemate, so she can't beam him out.
There's too much interference in the warp field, Ashley. You can't beam him out.
That happened.
Right. Yeah, you can't beam that close to the warp core. What if you accidentally hit the warp core?
Admiral Ashley, time to save some lives. We're rolling out the very reasonable safety measure across all Federation ships. Anyway, so Worf and Picard, they said, we go down there, we're going to talk to him. We're going to figure this out. It would have been great if they just cut away, and then the ship blows up, and then that's it.
You know what I liked in Discovery is how they just decided to get there quick by hitting the little beaming thing, intership beaming.
Yeah. Although it's a little too fast sometimes for me, but anyway, but yeah. So they get here. It's a stalemate. There's nothing they can do, and Worf's like, "I got this." He looks up because Von Armstrong says, "I will only talk to my countrymen. I will only talk to Worf, my good old buddy who I've known for about 6 hours at this point, or whatever, maybe a better part of a day." He's like, "Worf, we're gonna do so much together. We're gonna take over this ship." And he's like, "No, I am not here. Give me the weapon." And then Worf grabs his phaser. He's like, "You betrayed me after everything we've been through. Like, come on, we had lunch once." But he's a little.
We screamed together.
We screamed together.
Screamed together.
He's like,
We
"I
had
know."
tea.
We had tea and niblets and Klingon raviolis. Come on. Heather had put out the comment here earlier about the cutlery. The cutlery looks super cool. But the Klingon raviolis are going to in the Targ bag. Anyway, so Worf gives this speech here to him where it's like, this is not honorable. You talk about wanting to go on glory and conquest, but what about honor, duty, loyalty, those things? A warrior's nothing without those things. And he's like, "You suck, Worf. You're no Klingon at all." He's like, "Well, maybe I'm not." And then he just kills him. Like, just like that. I don't know why Tasha just couldn't have done this 5 minutes earlier. But anyway, he falls through the glass floor.
There's glass next to the warp core.
Yeah. And not like unbreakable glass.
No, and not safety glass.
It's like, why is this not transparent aluminum?
Maybe it is.
That can hold a whale in. Two of them.
Yeah, it's a rough landing here for Chorus. Is he? I'm not sure if the fall kills him or the phaser, but Worf's like, "Hold on." He kind of
climb down the ladder.
Climb down this ladder. Don't worry, I got this.
He could have done at least a Captain Kirk and slid down the ladder.
Slid down, yeah. But he does, and he just very casually comes down. Now, when he kind of flips, he has to like grab Chorus here and like flip him over, and you can kind of tell that this armor is made of rubber. I noticed that too in this scene, but it could have been the HD. I think it probably didn't look that bad on standard television back then, but now it doesn't hold up as well. But anyway, he flips him around and then he opens up Chorus's eyes, and then Chorus starts like shaking almost in fear, right, as he knows what's coming. He's about to die, and Worf goes, "Ah!"
I would have liked it if Tasha started doing it.
If he's shaken with fear at the time of death, he's not going to Sto-Vo-Kor.
No.
That's true. He died without honor.
Yeah.
Ice cold Worf. This is why he gets promoted to security. Exactly.
Right. He does what needs to be done.
I do like this pan back shot. And they're like, "Okay." And then they go to the bridge and they go, "Hey, he's dead. Do you want us to do anything with the bodies?" He goes, "Nope, we don't care.
They're
don't
just
care
an
about
empty
bodies.
shell.
Empty shells." And then Worf's like, "Hey, well, he kind of went out swinging, so good on him." And he's like, "Hey, if you ever need a job, you ever done with Starfleet, come look me up. We'll give you a job." Anyway, kind of a weird thing.
They can just swap officers with what was the one? What was his name last week? That was like, "I'm almost done my tour of duty. Can I serve on?"
Remick.
Remick, yeah.
I thought you were talking about Rondon.
How dare you? I am Rondon, you despicable melanoid slime one. Liar.
Rondon. You can switch places with Rondon. Well, there is the officer exchange program that we'll find out about in season 2 as well. So
I love that episode.
Good
me
episode.
too. Anyway, so Worf says, "Okay, thanks, cool. Goodbye." And then the Klingons leave. And anyway, they're like, "Worf, you would never leave. We need you here." And he's like, "Oh no, I was just be nice or whatever. Bridge wouldn't be the same without you, Worf." He's like, "Sure, all good."
I'm going to promote you in two episodes, so you better stay around.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think there would at least be some paperwork for him to fill out after he killed a guy in the middle of engineering.
They
but-
were so worried about Worf leaving the Enterprise that the Tasha death was an inside job. They got rid of her so they could promote Worf.
Yeah, that might be
They called
just-
Artemis up. We're gonna come to your world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Come-
send Deanna near you.
They said a travel brochure to. Anyway, so that's the episode. In terms of the plot, what happened, what we saw, and all that. Maybe there's some trivia.
There is indeed.
Okay, well, Adam, I give the floor to you, sir.
Okay.
In a little segment we call Fun Facts with Adam. Fun Facts with Adam.
Ashley,
What
my,
else?
my mission is to get Kevin to sing that.
He won't.
I know. But it's a dream. It's a dream. Okay. All right. So Geordi LaForge's visor is tied in the Enterprise D's view screen for the first time during the away mission. But actually, we talked about the generations when we saw it. It was actually seen again in the Mind's Eye. Do you remember
Mind's
when
Eye?
he was captured by the Romulans?
The Romulans, yeah. I knew
Oh,
that there
yeah.
was another one in the show.
Yeah. And again, you saw what we all see in that episode.
Yeah.
They had the right camera. Apart from Worf himself, this is the first appearance of Klingons in Next Generation, establishing the look of the Klingon uniform and body armor in the 24th century as being identical to the last time the Klingons were seen in Star Trek III, Search for Spock. This also establishes that Klingon uniforms were designed to conceal weapons. Although this
is that
time,
really?
yeah,
what
the
it
only time that they
describes?
ever used it to orchestrate an escape.
I don't think they're designed to hide weapons. I think they're just good at hiding weapons. But
Yep.
Maybe these guys' uniforms were designed to hide
Right.
uniforms.
yeah.
Okay.
Modified to hide uniforms.
This episode marks the first time we see a Klingon death ritual. The death ritual was revisited again for the deaths of Kalar and Jadzia Dax, and again for Duras and Gowron.
Yeah, he does, but he doesn't quite like hold Jedzia's eyes open like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode alludes to the fact that some Klingons are not happy about being at peace with the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
While in sickbay, Captain Picard mistakenly refers to the freighter they encountered as a Talarian ship rather than a Talarian ship. So, meaning Terrelin versus Talarian Talarin. Wow.
That's just pronunciation.
Yeah.
Well,
if Davin was here, he'd be all over it. He loves to correct you on pronunciation.
While in engine room, Cora said, "I would rather die here than let traitors of Kling pick up the meat from my bones." The authors of the Star Trek Encyclopedia wrote, at the time that it was written, Kling was intended as the name of the Klingon homeworld. Once the episode was filmed, it was realized that it sounded pretty silly.
Yeah.
So later scripts simply referred to the homeworld. And now we assume that the Kling is a district or a city. The planet was renamed to Kronos in Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country.
Which hadn't happened yet. Okay, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I guess that's wait. Let me just check one more thing here. I think we're pretty much done for the fun facts on this episode.
That's the end of the fun.
Yep, that's it. Oh, we did see a Klingon woman earlier on in Hide and Q,
Right.
but it was not a real Klingon. So
This is sex. Yeah.
Quite stimulating, wouldn't you say?
I would. All right. Well, with that said, let's go over to our ratings and put a number on this. Heart of Glory, everybody. What are we going to give this? Ashley, would you like to go first?
I give it an 8.
8. Oh. Adam?
I didn't really love it, but I didn't hate it. A 7. It's a 7. It's meh.
Yeah, I'm like probably in the middle. I'm 7.5. I think it's pretty good, but like we're all within we're within a point of each other here. So we're averaging a 7.5. This episode is 7.2 on IMDb, so it's a little bit, it's in the middle, I guess, average of like these season 1 episodes. And then we can look ahead to the next episode, everybody, which is Symbiosis. Or no, is it the Arsenal of Freedom? Sorry, the Arsenal of Freedom is next. Correct. I apologize. In the Arsenal of Freedom, the crew investigates the disappearance of the USS Drake. They travel to the planet Minos, where an away team and the ship are separately attacked by the demonstration of automated weapon systems.
Oh, I like this
Oh.
episode. I like that
yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
I like
Yes.
the sales guy. The guy
the peddler.
the peddler. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, do you want to buy this amazing system? Like, it's great. You know, I forgot about this. Yeah, and like those drones that are killing them, and we get some impressive moments here with Data, with his physical abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I seem to recall the Beverly Crusher making medicine out of roots or something, maybe. So we get a couple, maybe some of the better season 1 Beverly stuff in that one. Is it the first Geordie episode? I don't remember it being a Geordie episode, but it could be. Anyway, so look ahead for the Arsenal of Freedom coming up. And we are 2 away from Skin of Evil and the death of Tasha. So gear up for that. So on the panel next week for that episode, Adam and Jody are already slotted. We are looking for a 3rd panelist. Although curling is apparently starting next week, and so we're going to see how that plays out too. And with all that said, I think we can close the books here on Heart of Glory, an episode I do enjoy, and I'm glad we reviewed. And thanks to both of you for your important contributions and thoughts on this episode. Did you know on Monday nights we talk about the Orville?
I do.
I've heard something about this. Yeah.
Yeah, you're aware?
Yeah.
Well, we do. We're into season 2 now. So if you want to hear us talk about episodes of the Orville, tune in or go back and watch. Did you know that Lower Decks has got a new season coming out this month?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be talking about that very soon when those new episodes start to drop in a few weeks. And go and check out everything else we did this year. Also, want to say happy birthday to Eamon Mater. 22 years old today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, he's he had a double day of class in Mohawk today, but he's doing it up. So happy birthday, Eamon. And with all that said, yes, the final season, Lower Decks. Yeah, happy birthday, Eamon. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. He's a Libra. Just so you know.
What is that? Give us one fun fact about Libra.
They're balanced.
Really?
Yeah. They tend to be fence sitters. They have a hard time making decisions.
Huh. When I saw him play baseball,
I would not say that about Kevin.
Kevin's a Libertarius who he's technically a Libra, but he was born premature. He would have been born a Sagittarius. So he's a weird hybrid. The stars are all aligned, and that's why he thinks astrology is bullshit. But maybe it's real. Who knows? So
you're saying if he was born when he was supposed to be born, he would like it more?
He'd be more true Sagittarius.
I see.
But because he was born early, he got aspects.
He's a hybrid.
He's a hybrid.
Interesting.
Yeah. Thank you, Heather. Give me a fact about Aquariuses. You're know-it-alls. That's what about the Aquariuses. Partly because...
Yeah, I think Sam might be a know-it-all about Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, and this might actually have some science behind it, not just all made-up fluffy stuff. Aquariuses are, like, if in any given school year, kids born in January are the oldest, right? Yep. And therefore they're a little ahead of the other kids, and they tend to be a little bit like, I know how to do that already. I'm the best at this, and it carries throughout their entire lives. Versus like the kids born in December or whatever, who are the younger sets. Yes, I'm a know-it-all. You see, he knows it. He knows it all, and he admits it. There you go. But thank you to everybody for the wishes to Eamon's birthday. And with that, we'll leave you with a quote tonight. Make sure to check out all the great stuff in the United Federation podcast, Survivor, Big Brother. Hey, did you see that one and all these things? But here's the true test of any warrior. It's not from without, it's from within.
You look for battles in the wrong place. The true test of a warrior is not without. It's within. Here
It's where we meet the challenge. It is the weaknesses in here a warrior must overcome. I've talked of glory and of conquest and legends we will write. Yet, when you say, where are the words duty, honor, loyalty, without which a warrior is nothing?
See you next time, everybody.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.